Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 66 of Confessions of a Market Maker. I'm your co-host, Ray, aka All Day Ray, aka Saitama, and I'm joined here by my shrewd co-host, former market maker, 20 years, and current day retail trader, a man who's familiar with the difficulties of life. You couldn't walk a mile in his Ferragamos. The man never worried about the outcome, only his income. Of course, I'm talking about JJ. How's it going, man?
Brother, how you doing? Good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing real good, and I'm excited for our guest. This is a guy who first gave me my introduction into poker. Really, this is a man.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry about that. A man who turned $86 into 2.5 million. A man who's credited with the jump-starting the poker boom. 2019 inductee into the Poker Hall of Fame and America's Card Room sponsored pro. I am talking about a digital horse and stable owner, Chris Moneymaker. Chris, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me on. Interesting how we got here, huh? Buying digital horses is sort of how this all came to be.
That sure is. It sure is. It's funny. This is like I said, this is a good one for me, man. When you won the main event, it was, what was it, 03? I believe.
03, 19 years ago.
Yeah, incredible. I was 12 years old, but yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
But what a legendary tournament. I mean, just like from the broadcast, I remember it so well, from you knocking out Ivy to the heads up to the bluff you ran on Sammy. Man, it brings back so much memories. How often do people like myself give you credit for their introduction into poker? I imagine it happens quite often.
Yeah, I mean, of course it happens often, especially if I'm in a gambling environment, casino environment, or anything poker related. Then yeah, it's going to happen quite a bit. I'll say that during this weird period that we're going through with quarantine, I haven't been out of the house a whole heck of a lot. So it's been more, obviously everything's digital, everything's from home, playing a lot of online poker. I do some home games, but I just haven't had a ton of interaction with people in the last year and a half. So it's been kind of weird. But yeah, back, a year ago, yeah, it was absolutely insane. When I always tell people I have the perfect amount of celebrity. If I want to be recognized and want to, have fans, I can go to an environment where I have fans. Yeah. If I don't, I can go anywhere else and no one recognizes me. No one bothers me. Wow. So I've got a pretty normal face. It was about 60 pounds less than this before COVID, but, I got a pretty normal face, pretty average person, I guess. Nothing that's really sticks out other than my belly anymore. So yeah, I don't really get recognized a whole lot. I get always, hey, I know you from somewhere. Like they can't quite place where they know me from.
Yeah. No, I like that. That's funny. You have the perfect amount of celebrity. You know where to go. Also, I mean, Chris, what was it like, from being an accountant, just everyday person being unrecognizable to having that? What was that whole transition like for you?
Honestly, it was really tough because I mean, being an accountant and just being who I am, I'm more of the, you go to a party, I'm the guy in the back that's sort of, the wallflower. I'm not the life of the party, I guess. I'm not the one that's a social butterfly. I have a group of friends, and that's pretty much who I hung out with. Public speaking was the biggest fear of my life. Like, if even doing something like this 20 years ago, I would have been petrified. I had butterflies. It would have been miserable. So I win the tournament. They interview me right away, and I don't even know what I said anymore. I was so nervous. I was more nervous during the post-game interview than I was actually playing the tournament. And then I get a phone call from David Letterman saying, "Hey, we want you to go on the Letterman show." And I'm like, "Nope, cool, not happening. There's no way." My friends talked me into it, and probably the worst experience I've ever had. One of the worst experiences I've ever had, other than bungee jumping in my life.
Really?
But it was honestly baptism by fire. I got through it and developed into a pretty good, I'm comfortable now. I don't have a problem, doing interviews, speaking and things like that. So it's definitely made me come out of my shell and made me grow. But in the beginning, yeah, it was really tough, especially for someone that wasn't in the limelight or, even amongst most people. I'm the guy that was sitting upstairs in the office working behind a computer. I wasn't the server or bartender or whatever out in the public eye very often. So it was a big transition for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, and just a reminder to the listeners, if you guys would like to join JJ, myself, and a supportive community of traders, join us at microefutures.com. Chris, how were you received by the established guard of poker once you won? What was the reception like from them?
To be honest, everybody's like, yeah, lucky donkey won. It was, amateur wins another main event. He'll be gone in 2 years and we'll never hear from him again. That was kind of, whenever an amateur did win, they would get a year or two of notoriety and sort of fade off into the sunset. There's quite a few of them. So it was, Mike Manisau actually went on, he said something like, oh, here goes another donkey winning the main event. And so it took some time for them to realize that I actually know what I'm doing and I can play the game. And, I've, the thing about poker is you don't want your opponents to think you can play. I mean, lived up the, oh, shucks, I'm lucky for 15 years. I mean, and, I kind of can't do it too much anymore, but I still try. I mean, now that I'm streaming, people see me play and, they know that I'm I've got a brain at least. So I'm not, complete idiot. But yeah, in the beginning, it was, Chris is terrible. He got lucky. This is, the worst main event champion of all time. And so I was actually eating it up. I thought it was funny. And I got a kick out of it because the second tournament I played, I ended up getting second place. So at this point, my head is like this big, like I'm king of the world and everybody else thinks I'm terrible. And so that didn't really mesh with reality too well. As the time progressed, my head shrunk because I started coming back to earth with variance and people started realizing I'm a little bit better than what they thought. So kind of met somewhere in the middle. And I guess that's where we are today.
And that's where we are. Can you describe, Chris, just what that era of poker was like? Not even just like from a technical standpoint, but the media attention, the whole lifestyle. It's a little different than the current environment.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it was rock star status back then. I mean, it was, we had Maxim and Playboy parties and, whatever magazine, FHM, I think was, the big magazine back then. They threw the big parties before the main event. We would show up and there would be, thousands of people waiting in line for autographs and pictures. I would go do charity events and there'd be NFL players there, NBA players there, all the kids and everything willing to come play poker with me and not talk to the athletes. It was a very surreal time. And, TV, internet, all this contributed to this just extreme boom in poker. I remember, we had stripper poles with strippers on them going to the tournament. It was a circus for a while. It was a unique experience, but, obviously we had Black Friday, which is they basically outlawed online poker in the US for many years, and that took away marketing dollars, that took away TV time, and that made it to where we are now, where we're not cool anymore. We're older guys, but I will say the people that most people resonate with and remember are people from my generation, because that's when we got most of the TV time, and that's where most of the people started. So as a community, we're getting older. There's not as many younger players coming in because of the Black Friday issue. So, most of the people coming in now, that would be coming into poker started going into DFS, esports, trading, NFT, there's all of these other avenues that people can get into now, where when I was 20 or when I won and people were 20 years old, it was basically online poker, and that was it. There wasn't a whole lot of, you had season long fantasy, which was okay, but no, it wasn't like it is now where, every 5 seconds you have a commercial for DraftKings or FanDuel telling you to sign up and donate money to all the good players that do that.
Yeah, and that's what I think, Chris, because you've seen people, move on from poker and have success in other areas. And I feel like even, for myself, transitioning to trading, and I say this all the time on the podcast, is I feel like poker was such great training grounds for other areas in life. You would agree yourself?
Well, poker players, contrary to what most people believe, there actually is winning poker players. Let me qualify this. Winning poker players are really smart individuals. It's a really tough game. You have to have really thick skin. You have to have a short memory. All the things that you need for trading, sales, anything really relates to a poker player. So basically every person I play against is a customer of mine. I want a customer. I want to make them feel comfortable. I want them to enjoy the experience when I take their money. I have bad runs just like anybody else, and I have to, be strong mentally. I can't, get frustrated and just quit. There's so many things that prepare you for life after poker that, yeah, there's so many facets to the game that you can draw from and take into your next profession. And, like trading, for example, is, I know a ton of traders have moved on from poker to trading. And, it's a lot of it has to do with, nerves of steel and being willing to have diamond hands and not, fold under the pressure. And, you know, especially for crypto the last couple of days, it's pretty important.
Yeah, it is. And we'll definitely going to touch on some crypto. I wanted to ask you, Chris, once you won the main event, 2.5 million, I'm sure you probably put some aside, hey, poker bankroll now. What type of investments? So you went, I'm assuming you did some investments. Yep.
I went broke about 9 months later.
Really?
Yep. I had a divorce, gave it all to my ex-wife. We had a kid. I didn't want to pay child support, so I just gave her everything up front. I just said, take it, because I don't want to have to deal with the payments. So I was broke after 9 months. The one caveat is I got to keep my business deals and I got to keep my future earnings in poker. So
Okay.
I gave up all my current assets for future revenue growth. And so I had to slowly but surely build it back. I knew I had the poker knowledge and the poker skill to do it, to make it back. And,
Wow.
thankfully it
That,
worked out.
that was the right move. And even like in hindsight, that was still the correct play, in your opinion.
Yeah, it was definitely the right play. It really was terrible making it. Obviously, you don't want to just give up all that money, but at the end of the day, they were taken care of, and I was able to go out and not have that burden hanging over me, and be able to, do my job. And, because in poker, it's really important once you have a bankroll to be able to manage that bankroll. And if you have so many things pulling from your bankroll all the time, it's tough to grow it. So, you got to start with a good bankroll, then you got to build it and you have to maintain it. And I was able, I mean, to be honest, anything from 03 to like 2010, you could just print money playing poker. It was so easy. Like you could take a guy off the street, I could teach him how to play poker in like 3 hours, send him to the casino, he could make money. It was so easy. If you couldn't make money during that time, then you probably never should have been playing poker. Obviously in the last 9 or so years, it's gotten a lot tougher, and it's a very difficult game now. There's been so much development as far as theory and teaching and everything else going on out there that it's a difficult game now. It's it's kind of like trading. I asked someone, I want to be a trader. What do I need to do? And they said, well, you need to have at least 2 years worth of bankroll that you can lose to learn. Because that's what it's going to take. You can't just go into trading and be successful. You have to learn the ropes. And it's kind of the same way in poker now. I mean, you got to go through the motions and figure out, what all the plays mean. You have to study a lot. You have to work on it. Where again, back in the day, honestly, it was, a blind squirrel with no skill whatsoever could, make money in poker. It was a dream. So, yeah, it was definitely the right maneuver, and it worked out okay.
Yeah, wow, yeah. Because I was thinking to myself, and this was one of the questions I wanted to ask you, is that like I'm sure there was like after the win, there was like almost like a coming back down to earth type of moment from that high of the win. That was like the moment for you, like what you just described.
Honestly, I've never had a comeback back from the ground moment. I get to wake up every day and play poker for a living. So
Yeah.
I love the game. I'm not a fan. Like I don't watch it on TV. I don't know. I couldn't tell you who won the main event last year. I couldn't tell you who won whatever tournament, or couldn't tell you a bunch about players that are on TV but I like playing the game. I think it's a very good strategy game. I love the strategy of it. I love setting up traps and, the actual playing.
Yeah.
And so I get to do that every day. And so when you do something that you love, it's not really work. I get, I don't really come down from a high. I'm always in a good mood. Again, I get to wake up when I want, work when I want, do what I want. It's kind of the epitome of the dream, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to hear it. Awesome. So like you mentioned earlier, Chris, the reason we connected was through digital horses. You bought. I thought you only bought one, but now I hear you bought 2 horses.
Well, I bought 4, but I bought 2 of the expensive ones.
2 of the expensive ones. The Z1s, correct?
Yeah, I got 2 Z1s. I got a filly and a male and a female Z1, and I accidentally raced my mare, which I didn't mean to. I don't know how that happened. It was late at night, but thank goodness she had really good odds and she won the race. So she's officially retired. Okay. I haven't raced my colt. I don't plan to. If they ever open up breeding season, we'll get, it does stink to, I spent like $80K on these 2 horses and I haven't touched them for 2 weeks.
Yeah. This is interesting. I didn't nearly spend as much money as you. I got some like Z5s, Z6s in there. I got a few of them. Interesting. It's fun. I got in there. I raced them a little bit. So you're in the camp of you don't want to race them. You're just like flip, like going to flip the horses, or
well, a Z8 and a Z4 to race because I wanted to race. I mean, I wanted to have some fun with it. So I bought a Z8 and a Z4. The Z4 couldn't outrun my dog. The Z8's actually decent. It has a positive ROI, but my Z4 runs 6th every time. It's like that's the in this racing game, you want to either be first or last.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to be anywhere in the middle because it basically gives you the middle finger. That's where mine runs, right in the middle every time. It's for sale, by the way. Anybody's looking for a horse. It's a beautiful horse. It's nice and pink. It's beautiful. I'll give it to you relatively cheap.
There you go. Beautiful. No Moneymaker markup on that one either. Yeah.
No. There's going to be Moneymaker markup on the offspring of the good ones, but this one, we're going rock bottom pricing. This one's priced to move.
Get rid of it. Yeah. Oh, it's Chris, I really love the project. I think like they put a lot of thought into it. I think it has. I like that it's a skill game. There's different layers of strategy that can go into it. Maybe explain to listeners what made you spend so much money on a digital horse. Some people listening might be like, what the hell? This guy's just a straight up degenerate. Like just what? So.
Well, they're not wrong.
Well, they're not. That's not totally wrong, probably. But yeah, what possessed you to spend that much money on a digital racehorse?
Well, I got into Top Shot, and I was about a week early before the peak, so I saw the big spike, and then I saw the drop, and I'm holding about average what I got now, but I really fell in love with the NFT space, and I wanted to do more in it, so I found OMI, and I invested a lot in OMI, which hasn't worked out very well yet, but it will.
I think it will. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a really good coin. And so I invested a lot in that. And then I started getting into, I wanted to try to find things that are up and coming and the new ones coming out. Cause you see the punks, the kitties, the Top Shot, everybody that got in early turned into multi-millionaires from just getting in early and holding. So I saw this racing thing. I thought I would get in early and I didn't, obviously, cause I spent 80 grand on 2 horses. So I didn't get in too damn early. But I think I'm in early. I hope I'm in early enough where this, them having a use function for the horses and the fact that the Genesis are limited edition, like they're not going to, whenever I go into something, I always try to buy the best. I don't want a ton of, Z8, Z4s. I want the premium. I'm going to pay for the premium, but I think that's going to hold its value over time. So if I'm going to get burned, I'm going to get burned big, but if I hit, I'm going to hit big is sort of the idea. But I'm always looking for new NFT projects. I really think NFTs are the way of the future. I could definitely see my kids or future kids, going into school and how we used to trade baseball cards or stickers or whatever. You swipe your phone and you give someone a digital moment or NFT and they give you one back. And I could see that being the new way of trading, and you could, display your NFT in different formats. I love what, again, OMI is doing with the augmented reality. And I think it's the future. I think it's where we're headed. I think virtual reality is going to be a thing. So anything that has to do with this new technology, I'm all on board. And so that's why I spent so much. I think they have so many good partnerships down the line. They just announced one with the Preakness. Yep. They have, talking about sponsored races. They're building they got their headquarters in whatever the Sandbox and the Decentraland or whatever. So, I think they've got a lot of good people behind it, and I'm excited about the project. And I think it's going to have legs. And if it does take off, then I've made some money. If it doesn't, then I just spent $80K on fake horses.
Yeah.
As somebody who's completely green to this and is learning on everything that you guys are talking about. So say you sell this stuff at a loss. Is that a capital loss that you can take on your taxes?
Yeah, it's capital loss, capital gain, just like anything else.
Okay,
It's just,
cool. All right. Okay.
yeah. So, anything that, so for the Top Shot, for example, every time that you buy a Top Shot, I'm basically taking money out of crypto and making a purchase. So I have to report that as, as a sale or a purchase of
Got it.
this asset,
Understood.
basically. So whenever I sell it, if I sell it at a loss, then I take the loss. And so, I've had a pretty good year. So if the racehorses don't work out, then yeah, I will have some tax deductions, which, I'll need this year at least.
Oh, well, there
Always
you go.
always look at the good side.
Yeah, well, exactly. I'm a trader. I always try and weasel a way out, right?
Yeah.
So
You got to.
I'm learning because, I'm 53. So everybody my age, they're not early adopters. I missed the whole crypto thing, right? Because I just didn't understand it and I didn't take the time to understand it, right? And not because I didn't think it was real or anything like that. I just didn't take the time. So, keeping an open eye for older guys is very important. Otherwise, you miss some really nice capital opportunities. So this is very interesting stuff. I'm learning a lot here.
Yeah, I'm 45, and I'll be honest, I would never know anything about any of this stuff either. If it wasn't for poker and poker keeps me young. It's a young man's game. Even though a lot of people play, when you start playing online, it's a lot of young guys and a lot of people I teach and help. They're all younger and they're always pointing me in these different directions. So I would be in your boat, and I've got a lot of friends. Anybody that doesn't play poker that's my friend, they look at me like I'm freaking insane.
Yeah.
And they don't understand it. Like when I bought Bitcoin, they're like, "You're an idiot." I mean, it's
yeah, exactly right. Well, that's why I have Ray, right? Because he keeps me informed.
Yeah, he was 12 when I won. Damn.
Man, yeah. You're the one who got me on my degenerate kick. I'm like, oh, this guy can win. Okay, anyone can win, right? Like,
That's it. That's the whole thing. If this dumb bumpkin from Tennessee can win, anybody can do it.
oh, that can't even be his real name, Moneymaker. I remember thinking that at the time. I'm like, oh, it's just it's a pseudonym or something. But
and one of our people was asking, was that your real name? And also being that you're an accountant.
Yeah, we just actually did an April Fool's joke this year where I finally unveiled that my real name's not Moneymaker, it's Smith. And I showed my license with Smith. And I can't tell you how many people I got messaging me saying, I knew it wasn't your real name. And, I can't believe I fell for this. And, I at least 100 messages. And they just forgot to check that it was April 1st. So, it is pretty surreal that, it's so easy to believe that it's not my real name. But yeah, I got really fortunate with the profession, with the last name, and with the good looks. I just, all
just the perfect combination there, Chris.
Exactly.
Perfect combination.
Lightning struck twice.
Yeah. But back to your point, what you were saying with NFTs with your kids, you can see your kids getting into it. I think the same thing. I could see my son, and I already like maybe I use him as like a testing, right? I had him hop onto Decentraland. Because to me it seems very reminiscent of like Roblox. The kids love Roblox. They love Minecraft, Sims, and I can see this. I could see as our children get older, this is something that's easily adopted for them.
I bought my son some baseball cards. He was a big Steph Curry fan. I bought him some physical cards for display in his room, and he looked at him. He's like, "Yeah, I don't want that." And then he saw the Top Shot and he's like, "Oh, that's cool." I'm like, "All right, well, this is where we're headed."
This is where we're headed. Yeah. What were your thoughts, Chris, when you first heard about crypto? And then what are your thoughts now?
Well, when I first heard about it, I thought it was just a great opportunity to get into something relatively cheap and had a chance to do something. I wasn't really a big maximalist. I wasn't a big believer that was going to be the future of the world. But at the same time, I knew that the government can print money and eventually we could run into inflationary issues, and this would prevent that. It would be a sort of a stopgap against it. So I invested in it more of a hedge against everything else that I had going on. And as time has progressed, I don't know what coin's going to be, but there's going to be one of these coins that's going to be the future of money. We're going to use it to spend everyday life. I'm hoping it's not Doge or Dodge. Please don't let it be that coin. But
yeah, please.
there's going to be one of these coins. It's not going to be Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to be like gold, I guess, the store of value or whatever. But there's going to be some coin that's going to have a good use function that we're going to be able to use every single day for every purchase. And it's going to probably end up being the worldwide tender after the U.S. government continues to print money like it grows on trees, literally. So I'm a big believer in it now. I think it's going to take over the world, is my opinion. I think it's going to become the world standard. And, it might not be for another 20 years. I don't know. But it definitely scares me with what's going on in the U.S. particularly. But then you have other countries, Venezuela, look, their toilet paper is worth more than their printed money. There's, hyperinflation all over the world in different parts of the world. And, we live in sort of the lap of luxury here where we don't have that yet, but it can very easily happen. And I think crypto's, the answer to it. So I want to be involved in it. I want to have a piece of it, and I want to be prepared if bad things happen.
Absolutely. You mentioned OMI, which I'm a big fan of. I'm a fan of the app Vive or V. I don't know how it's pronounced.
I don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah.
But yeah, well, you mentioned to the augmented reality. Another thing, because I got some of like the Batman and the Batman characters, and another thing my son loves, because we can take pictures with Batman. We can, things like that. It's fun. It's a good use case, and I could see how me and him bond over it as well. Not to backtrack from the conversation, but so you like OMI, just for listeners, any other coins that you yourself are big on?
My biggest bag's OMI, but I'm in Solana as well. I think it's how you pronounce it, Solana.
Yeah, SOL, right? Yeah.
SOL, yep. I'm in. I believe that's going to be the future of, the future Ethereum or whatever. I think it's growing. It was doing really well, and I think that's my second biggest bag. I try to understand the coins and make sense of them to where they serve a function more than anything else. I mean, I'll say back in the day, I had just invested in any altcoin that came along because, I didn't really know what I was doing. I invested in OMG, Waves, which they're all doing really well right now, but I don't have any of those bags anymore. I bought them when they were at their peak and watched them dive in 2018. And I said, I'm not doing any alts anymore. I'm sticking strictly with Ethereum and strictly with Bitcoin. And, obviously we hit a really big bull run. And so I started diversifying a little bit. And my biggest one I went out and got was OMI. Then I got Sol. And I looked at Audios. I looked at Theta. I looked at Chili's or whatever it is, CHZ.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I looked at those. And, at the end of the day, I'd love to find another one that's, under a penny that has the potential to go to $1. Obviously, we're all looking for that. And, I think OMI has that potential. That's why I kind of put as much as I did into it. And obviously, I'm always looking for the new one, but I just don't want to invest as much as I did in OMI. I'm happy with my investment, even though it's tanking right now. I expect it to tank, and that's fine. I've been through the crypto ring enough to know, everybody's panicking yesterday, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I wasn't selling or buying, anyways, so what does it matter? You're just holding anyways.
Right. Yeah. It's like these, especially being a poker player too. I feel like these like moves, it's like, okay. I mean, you know what I mean? Like we're used to these things by now. It's nothing.
Yeah. If you've been hit with a river card that cost you, 100,000 in equity or whatever it is, you're not really worried about a 30% drop. I mean, it's part of life. I mean, it's all one big game, the one thing, but it does help. I don't have so much of my equity, my bankroll in it that it affects me that much. I mean, I have security set aside for the family, and that obviously is the biggest thing. I think, if you're a trader, if anything, as long as you have the essentials taken care of at home, everything else gets so much easier.
Yeah. Bankroll management first and foremost, risk management. What have been your thoughts, Chris? This, I guess this week, this whole Elon Musk not being a fan of BTC no more. It looks like the whole crypto community is upset with him. But you have any thoughts around this?
Well, it's funny because I bought a Tesla a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I put the order in, and I'm supposed to get it next month. And he came out and bashed Bitcoin, and I was like, I'm gonna go see what I was. There's other cars out there that I can go buy. I don't have to buy a Tesla. Screw him.
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, I was like, yeah, I can just buy more Bitcoin at this price, I guess. And it's amazing to me that one person can manipulate the market so dramatically. It just blows my mind. And I'm sure that's not the only reason, but I don't understand why the crypto market does what it does. But when you see someone like Elon tweet and it goes through the roof or down, depending upon what he says, looks pretty solid that he's controlling this market. And it's got to be nice to be the guy that, is sort of the king. If he wants to invest cheaper, just send out a bad tweet. But it's been a weird week this week. I'll say that.
It has, yeah, king of the castle. And I know, like, this is something me and JJ, you've been alluding to this for a while, and I remember our good friend Chris Hanks. Chris, he's a former options, well, not former, he still trades options, but he was from the floor of the in Chicago, the CBOE, and he called Elon the greatest stock promoter of all time, JJ.
Oh, he is.
Or the greatest pump and dump guy. I mean, because like you said, Chris, like you see, he controls the whole market. I mean, what do you think about all this, Jay?
I think, the crypto thing is a beautiful thing because I'm not a fan of the SEC. So, the fact that they have no pull there, really, I'm just so happy to see people making money from it. As far as he's concerned, I saw the Tesla short squeeze. I called it at $300 for the people in our room. And I told him where it was going. And he did it 100 years right after the Stutz Bearcat short squeeze. And the guy's not an idiot. He knows a little bit about history. It's not that hard to do a short squeeze. I've done about maybe 100 of them in my time. So it's fascinating to see how he does move price. It's really, really cool to see that. I've never seen, I've seen markets where, there's a big group of traders that'll move price, but I've never seen something this new. This Bitcoin thing is fascinating because it's almost like the purest, most unadulterated form of price discovery. And then you get this guy with all this power, with the ability to move price. It's very interesting. And thing is, nobody can, he could buy a position and talk it up and then sell it into the buying, which is illegal in equities trading. But here it's like, go ahead, be my guest. It's amazing that it has no compliance, no regulation. Like, as a guy who's, who comes from the dark side of the street, I think it's wonderful. It's a beautiful thing. I've always thought Bitcoin was amazing, because it's like Russell Peters says, it's zero. There's nothing there, but now it's worth $50,000 and you're selling it, and it's just beautiful wealth creation.
It's crazy to me how people hang on their every word. To your point, Chris, how he has this much influence and this much power to move it himself, or even like JJ, someone like what's his name, Chamath,
that guy, yeah.
I know some of his SPACs are having some problems, but
Math moves it. Mark Cuban came out with Dodge and moved it. They've got a little circle of people that can influence. Obviously, Elon is like the head of the snake, if you will. He can move a market like nobody.
Yeah,
he's a talented dude. You got to give him that.
Yeah. So it's just like history repeating itself, like you said, JJ. It's just in packaged, in a different form where like a tweet can really move.
Yeah. We used to spend $3 million on direct mail to get maybe 5 to 1, 6 to 1 buying. Now you hit a button.
Yeah.
Bring in $200 million worth of buying in like half an hour.
JJ, your net worth would be 5-10x, huh? Like nowadays.
Oh my God! If I was doing deals right now, right? Yeah. If I didn't have a 10 SB5, I would be right. If I were doing deals and using social media, oh my God, the liquidity. Just think of selling $100 million worth of stock every hour, right? Yeah. Just cash, just beautiful, $100 million, and the market just takes it and wants more because the buyers just never stop coming. It's a dream. The liquidity in these markets with all the cheap money printed by the Fed is a dream. And now you have people this diamond hands where they'll believe anything you say and hold it forever. So you have stock that you sell that never comes back into your market that you got to clean up, right? You got these people. Where were those people when I had 200 million shares of worthless, crappy stock to sell, right? Oh my God.
Go find Wall Street bets. You'll get them.
No.
Oh yeah. Chris, does I guess maybe more, I guess to crypto, but maybe to NFTs more specifically. Does this time, like the excitement, the euphoria kind of around this, is it kind of does it any like reminiscence of like the early poker days to you?
Not really, because poker was, it was on TV. It was more, social thing. For me, NFTs haven't been really a social thing.
Yeah.
I get in the Discord chats and, I meet people and stuff like that, but it's not like poker where you're going out and actually engaging. But in this day and time with COVID and what we've gone through, I mean, it was nice, being part of, a community of Top Shot or whatever it is. It was pretty cool, but I don't think it doesn't give me the same euphoria, I wouldn't say. But I'm also kind of a unicorn when it comes to poker. I was sort of spearheading that. If I was just some other random poker player, it might be the exact same. So you're asking the wrong guy for that question, probably.
Yeah, the wrong guy. Yeah, exactly. So to Top Shots, I think like myself, Chris, I've become, and it could just be due to the floor dropping, but I find myself a little less and less bullish on Top Shots. What about yourself? Do you think this is just a current phase, or like what do you think? What are your thoughts on Top Shots?
Well, there's no way that growth was going to be maintained. I mean, that was insane in February. What we went through was just a major spike. I mean, I think with all these NFTs, you're going to see the spike, then fall off, and it'll come back. I think they're going to come with promotions. My problem is I just don't have confidence in the team. I mean, we went for months without being able to withdraw. There are people still can't get their money out.
Myself. Yeah.
Is that still happening, Ray? Remember,
I'm still waiting for my withdrawal. Yeah, I'm still waiting. Yeah.
See, I can withdraw. I've been able to withdraw quite a bit, but someone actually hit me on Twitter yesterday because I was bad mouthing him a little bit about, how the value of I bought a pack and I barely broke even on just buying the pack for $9. Like, the moments just aren't worth anything. But at the end of the day, I didn't expect the moments to be worth anything. You're not going to get $10 for a random moment that there are 30,000 of them of some player that you've never heard of. Obviously, you're if you have a Kobe Bryant, if they ever come out with that, you have LeBron James, you have the stars. If they ever come out with Michael Jordan, those will hold some value. But 90% of the league is probably not going to be worth anything in the future. It's kind of like that with baseball cards. I mean, or in a lot of these cards, I mean, you can probably count the number on hand of how many you want to actually own. And it'll be the same way with these Top Shots. Now, I think they're trying to add some utility to it by doing something with the league. Like you have to have so many moments and you get something within a game, or it'll be interesting to see what they do. But again, I don't really have confidence in the team right now. And then the sad thing is I bought Flow through an intermediary because I couldn't buy it in the US. I had to get someone that lives outside the US to buy it. And I was really gung ho. It shot up, and I ended up selling. Thank goodness, because when I couldn't cash out, I sold it because it was really bothering me. And it's been since that time. I'm not bullish on it at all. I think I'm ready to get out, but I don't want to sell because the floor is so low. I don't want to really sell right now. I'd rather hold and just see what happens. I mean, I think I've got like my value of my total account's like 80K right now, and I could probably get out of it for that, but. I would feel, and that's about what I put into it because I've cashed out quite a bit, but it feels like it's just really low. So I'm gonna hold. I could probably sell all my junk ones that are $2 and $3 because those probably aren't ever going back up. But I've got a couple that, I've got a really rare. I don't even know which one it was. Harden that it was a reward one. I think they're only 64, and I think it's going for like 15K right now. Mm-hmm. That one's probably going to be worth hopefully 30 or 40 by the time if they ever get it back to, people wanting it.
Yeah. Because I think it's surprising. Like we're at a point now, the floor is so low, it doesn't even make sense, right? It's like, all right, I'm gonna hold on to these. Yeah, and I'm right there with you, Chris. I had to go through an intermediary to get flow, someone in Europe. But yeah, like at being part, like once I really got engaged in the project myself, like hands-on, because I wasn't at first, and I'm like, all right, let me get in there. Having doubts about the team, I can withdraw, and then I think they're just flooding the market, almost like too many pack drops, and it's just flooding the market, right? And so to where we're at this point right now. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes in the future. I'm
And
not sure.
that's honestly, that's what concerns me with Zed too. And even though I bought these digital horses, I bought the Genesis because they aren't going to make any more of those. I'm concerned with if these horses don't fatigue, age, retire, you're going to have 100 million horses in the market, and you're going to flood the market with horses, and it's not going to be worth anything. So, I've actually talked to the team, and it's like, you got to do something to, restrict the number of horses that are going to be active in your client.
Yeah.
You can't just have 100 million horses out there, even if they, Genesis are unique and they're special. If as a new investor, if you can't get a Genesis, you're not going to want to come in and just play with the crappy horses. People have to be able to get Genesis, but you can't have so many horses they're selling so cheap. So Zed's, I think, at a really critical point in their future, sort of like Top Shot was in February, where I think Top Shot dropped the ball, and they, like you said, they flooded the market. They're getting dinged with, their queue system and how people couldn't get packs. So all of a sudden they start, they were Oprah, you get a pack, everybody gets a pack. And Zed, they're at a critical point now to where, they're going to open up breeding, and how, what is that going to do, and how many horses are you going to be able to actually produce and put out into the marketplace, and are they ever going to be able to get tired? And there's so much unknown right now in that I'm sort of gambling that they're smart people, and they figure out how to make it have legs and work long term.
And they do. And they do seem, I like them better than the Top Shot team. I think you bring up some really good points. I mean, how would you feel, Chris, right? Like, because from what I've read, I don't think they plan on adding a fatigue aspect. I'm not sure yet, right? I know things are still like subject to change, but how would you feel for someone who spent so much money on Genesis horses that, like, hey, like they might have a lifespan? Would that, how would you feel?
Actually, I did come from an angle of, I don't want my horses to fatigue. I just want everybody else's to fatigue. Like the Genesis shouldn't fatigue. It's just all the other horses, the Genesis, they aren't going to make anymore. There's 38,000 of them. Those are the original bread and butter of Zed. Those shouldn't fatigue. Those should, carry the brand or whatever. And then all the horses that you generate, make or whatever, those would fatigue. Now at the end of the day, you got to have something where, your horse breaks his leg, or, the Genesis, gets hurt, it would stink. But you got to level the playing field some. But you also, you got to look at it. What's your end goal here, as a player / participant? I want to run the horses. I want to have fun with it. But right now, my horses aren't making any money, so it's no fun. So now I have to go to breeding. Well, now if everybody's breeding, then, am I going to make money doing that? Eventually, if I'm not making money doing it, I'm going to go find something else to do. So they got to keep it somehow competitive. They're supposedly going to add weather. They're going to add gate changes. I did hear they're thinking about adding fatigue. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of trusting that, I've talked with Top Shot. I've talked with Zed, and I just have a better feeling with Zed that they have a better team in place, and they have a pretty solid plan or path that's actually going to grow, where Top Shot should grow. They have the NBA behind them. They got UFC coming out. They were in position so well to grow. And
so just out of curiosity, I'm listening to this, and you said you had this type of a horse, and I'm kind of thinking that's almost like preferred stock. And then there's common stock, and I'm like, okay, how do we restrict supply, right? Because that's the only way you can get price to go back up is if you restrict supply.
Correct.
Right. So, so if they get sick, this is really interesting stuff. It's quite fascinating the way this whole thing works. And I'm just looking at supply and demand always, because that's what we do when we're trading. You know,
Well,
it's
if
like
you
when
want to buy a
companies
horse,
dilute.
I can get you. I can get you in rock bottom again.
I don't buy anything I don't understand. And this is my first time, because Ray said he was racing digital racehorses, and I thought, maybe he had a little Jack Daniels in his Coke this morning or something, And then, I mean, what is this digital racing horses? I thought, last time I saw the track with that mechanical thing where the horses go around and around, Now I look at this, and this is really fascinating. It's like another market to itself with different supply and demand characteristics and factors that influence supply and demand, like news or when a company dilutes a stock and adds a whole bunch of. So a lot of these deals, it seems, or these ecosystems, they come up and then they start diluting, and that's probably what causes people to walk away from them.
Well, like you said, Jay, yeah, like same mechanics. Like we're talking about with the
Yeah,
top shots is they're kind of diluting the market by
yeah.
making more and more cards. And what the good thing is, I assume Chris went, so hard on buying the horses, and for myself, relatively to, to the net worth that I have, is that they're not going to make any more of these horses. All the horses afterwards have to be bred from the horses that we have. And so hopefully there's an added importance to the horses that we have, or at least there should be theoretically. But yeah, I think that's been enough talk of the digital horses. Exciting stuff. Chris, you recently you're sponsor now with America's Card Room. Why don't you tell us about that?
I was with Poker Stars back for 17 years. It was my sponsor when I won the series, and they were a great company. They got bought and sold a few times. Phenomenal company, phenomenal people. But the problem I had is after Black Friday, I couldn't work. I couldn't actually play on the site. They backed out of the U.S. There's only in a couple states. I had to travel internationally all the time. I was gone 75% of the time. If I had to play poker, if I wanted to play poker, I had to travel and go everywhere after Black Friday happened. And when COVID happened and we all got shut down, I was faced with this thing where I can't travel and play poker. I can't play poker online. So what in the world am I going to do? I discovered America's Card Room. It's a more crypto based site. It's unregulated, but I've met the owner obviously now real well. And they've been in business for a very long time. They have very fast payouts. I've seen they've segregated the funds. They're really on top of, player securities, and everything is just top notch. So I started playing there. I had some success. I get to play from home, and came due in December. I was actually coming to the end of my contract with Poker Stars. And I was like, you know what? As great as this company's been to me, I can actually go and work with a company that I believe in, that I have a voice in, that I can pick up. When I was first joined with Poker Stars, Esai was the owner. I could pick up the phone, call him, and say, "Hey, what's up, brother? We'd have a conversation." They're to the point now. They're the parent company owns FanDuel and all these. They own so many things I can't even mention. I don't know who would be my boss. So I like the fact that I can pick up the phone and call the owner. I like the fact that my voice is heard. I like the fact that I feel like I have some kind of say, and I feel like the fact that I know the direction the company's going. And I like the fact that I get to play from home and I get to spend time with my wife and kids, and I can do this and actually be productive, but also, I'm essentially a day trader. I sit at home and I don't work market hours. I work a little bit later than you guys do, but I do the same type stuff. I'm just looking for good games, looking for good tournaments, and try to make money while I'm sitting in my pajamas.
Yeah. Nothing. It's a dream, Chris. Playing at the screen from home. That's what I always enjoyed it. It's just so much more convenient than going to the casino. You can see more hands, faster pace. Yeah, I mean, America's Card Room, actually, like I got the itch to play not too long ago. I fired it up. I see you're on there. They have like the Moneymaker. They got the series of tournaments going on right now. They got really good tournament schedule though, around the clock. A lot of good tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, we're still beefing it up. I mean, we're a growing site. We've seen good growth. We've got, for anybody looking to get into poker, we've got a great promotion going on. Basically, we run penny tournaments. Every single tournament's a penny. There's no re-entry, no rebuy, so it just costs 1 penny only, and you get points. You're also going to get paid if you win, but you get points. It was really what you're playing for. And if you make the top 30 of a certain week, it advances you to the final. And at the end, we're giving $105,000 sponsorship away to where you'll get cash, tournament buy-ins, things like that. And, obviously a lot of other good perks to go along with it. And it's going to cost you 15 cents. And you have a 1 in 360 shot to get it because there's going to be 360 people in the final tournament. And there'll be other prizes, I'm sure. We haven't developed that yet. This is the cool thing. I went to the owner. I was like, let's try something. Let's do this. And he's like, okay, let's go. And he kind of put it together, and we've sort of been, every week we get together. It's like, is this working? Is this working? And, we try to change things that may not be working. And it's a working process, but we're having fun with it. And we're hopefully going to change someone's life.
Yeah. Awesome. Good stuff. I haven't paid much attention to the WSOP and what their plans are this year. I guess what are the plans and what's going to be your approach? You're going out there? So is it live? Are they holding it live?
They're having a live series. It's going to be in the fall. I think it's going to be October, November time frame. Plan is currently right now to go out there and participate, but I'm going to sort of play by ear. And, I remember last year, during the summer months, COVID got good and we were, kind of okay. In the fall, it came back pretty bad. So, if you look at the history, like the 1918 flu, when it came back, the second it attacked a completely different demographic of people. You got all these different mutations. I don't know what the fall is going to bring. I mean, are we going to get an Indian mutation that comes from India that's been so bad there, and we're going to get it back in the U.S. in the fall? So my plan is to go out there and play, but I'm, being hesitant based on the fact that I just don't. I mean, I'm an overweight guy that's a little more middle-aged. I don't want to get sick. I love my kids. I love my wife. My wife's not vaccinated. I am. She doesn't believe that the vaccination is going to be that good, that quick. So we have a lot of stuff going on, and I don't have to go out and play. So, I'll just make the best decision for my family and see if it's worth it. Because I would be going out there just because I wanted to go play. It wouldn't be because I have to go play the main event. It's just because I wanted to. So it's on a little bit different boat. Like I would never miss the main event ever. I've never missed it except for this last year when they had it online, and I might miss it this year because of, just the situation that we're in. And, I'm not big, telling people what to do with how to handle the virus or anything like that. But I have my beliefs, and, so many people said, well, if you're afraid of it, stay home. Well, I might stay home. I can play online.
I stay home. Yeah. The entries now in the main event is insane. When you won, Chris, how many entries were there?
There were 839 the year I won.
Okay.
And then the next year there were 2,500, and they actually called it was the Moneymaker effect or the poker boom. And then we went from 2,500. We shot all the way up. I think our peak was, I want to say 8,000, 9,000, something like that.
Yeah.
But we consistently get 7,000 to 8,000 each year for the last over a decade. Obviously COVID changed that, but if we didn't have Black Friday, I think we would have 20,000 people in the main event. I mean, it would have blown up, it would continue to blow up. And, as we get more regulation in the US and people can play satellites and get more back into it, I believe those numbers will continue to rise because that's how everybody gets in. There's not a whole lot of people that go out there and just put $10,000 up.
Yeah.
Everybody satellites in.
Right.
I mean, that's how you get into a tournament is you win your way in cheap. And, you have your home game and you send one guy from your home game and he goes and plays for everybody and you split up the prize again, whatever it is. That's what the main event's all about. And, so yeah, it's grown in popularity to a point where, they're looking for other places in Vegas, to hold it because it's growing so fast.
Yeah. I mean, the whole convention center is humongous. Anyway, it's insane. Yeah. To think about it, if Black Friday didn't happen, where would poker been? Because I know even pre-COVID, Chris, a lot of these tournaments were hitting record numbers for entries.
Well, post-COVID, every tournament that they've had post-COVID has just blown every guarantee out of the water. People are just dying to get out and play. I did go to an appearance down in Houston, and I played in a tournament. I've only done one so far. They had $1 million guarantee, and it was a 5-day day one event. By the third day, they'd already met their guarantee. They doubled the guarantee. There was a tournament down in Miami that set every record for WPT numbers.
Yeah,
I mean,
the Hard
there's
Rock.
records everywhere.
Yeah. I've seen that down at the Hard Rock. Yeah,
Mhm.
insane. Yeah. Yeah. So I got a few more questions. These kind of like miscellaneous, rapid fire stuff. JJ, do you have anything before I get into it?
No, fire away.
All right. What was Chris? Big moment. I mean, being inducted to the Poker Hall of Fame. What was that? What did that feel like?
Well, I mean, I'll just be honest. I didn't care. It's not. It's. Can you tell me who else is in it?
Well, I mean, I'm sure like Doyle, Chip Reese, Phil. Is Phil in there? Phil Ivey in there?
I don't know. I don't know who's in it. I mean, I don't. There's no. You can't go to a poker. Like, where is it? Where's it located?
Well, I only know because I saw it in Binions. It's in Binions, right?
They
have the wall at least with the pictures. I know that.
Yeah, but they don't update that. That's not even a thing anymore. So like I truly just didn't care. I mean, it doesn't provide anything for me. It's just an award, but at the end of the day, it doesn't affect me. It doesn't do anything for me. I guess it's cool for my kids, I guess. But I mean, honestly, if I was a poker like junkie and groupie, I'd probably be pumped. I know there are some people that just die to get into it, and it kind of sucks that I got in because I didn't really care. And I know that I have a few friends that really want in.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, you don't even want it. I'm like, it's cool. I mean, yeah, it's nice. I got a cool little trophy over there, and they gave me a dinner, so yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. It's funny. That's how it always works, right? The people that want something so bad never get it, and then the people that don't want something wind up getting it. It's funny. It's funny how life works.
Well, it's how I got my wife. I wasn't really looking, and she so good looking, I couldn't help it. Whatever.
Chris, I saw it must have been a while ago, but you wrote or you were a part of a children's book. Bet big to win big. You caught some flack for this.
First of all, I didn't write any children's book. I don't know where this comes from.
So this is fake.
What?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
I think someone actually went on to my Wikipedia page and actually put this out there. And I've been asked in a couple of interviews. I've never written a children's book in my life. That's completely false. I don't even know what this is. Yeah. I was getting flack in an interview about it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I never wrote a children's book. No, I've never wrote any. I wrote one book, and it was my story of my autobiography. There is no children's book. That would be pretty bad for I think a poker player, promoting a 21 plus activity to write a children's book.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
Yeah, I was curious. I was like, okay, all right, Wikipedia. All right, Chris,
It's scary what they can put on there.
Yeah, I guess so. Chris, like I mentioned before, man, I can't think of another tournament that just fun to watch with just so many big moments than the one that you won. That Sammy Farha bluff. I probably most people would probably say like just at least the most notoriety like bluff in history. Can you recount your thought process or just the feelings in the moment?
Oh, of course. I mean, it was the biggest moment of my life, or one of the biggest moments. I mean, the good thing about this moment is, one, you have the ultimate amateur me, and you have what seems to be the ultimate pro in Sammy. I mean, unlit cigarettes, slick back hair. He looks like the ultimate professional. He's the ultimate Bond villain in a film. So it was a really good contrast as far as opponents.
Mm-hmm.
And then to pull the playoff was, whatever. It was the cream on top of the sundae, whatever. But I just remember from earlier in the day that Amir Vahidi had said something to Sammy in a hand, and Sammy immediately called when Amir spoke. So I remembered that from like 7 hours previous. And I said, I'm just not going to say a word. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to control my breathing. And I'm going to imagine I'm on a beach somewhere. So I was wearing my shades, which I don't wear anymore, but I wore back then because I was really nervous. And I just shut my eyes and tried to imagine I was on the beach somewhere, just doing something other than, throwing away $1.2 million on a hand that was king high, or queen high, king high. So, it was just, I tried to remove myself from the situation. again, I didn't know what he was doing over there. I just know he hadn't said the word call yet. So I just held on, and what seemed like eternity, when in actuality it was probably like 45 seconds, which, doesn't sound like much, but when someone's just sitting there staring at you, go play poker and stare at someone for 45 seconds. It is a long time.
Mhm.
He sold, and I actually sighed out at the end. Like, that was actually genuine, because I was so nervous and so, like, I was holding my breath, but I was trying to control my breathing, but I obviously wasn't doing very well because I had so much pent up nerves. That was a genuine reaction at the end. And, I just remember it's like, this is going to work. This is going to work. And, go to the beach, whatever, do something else.
Oh, yeah, what a moment in poker history, JJ. When you it's funny, like when we talk about poker, and like when you give me your perceptions of what poker players were like, or poker players that you've known. So the guy that Chris played head to head to win the tournament is like that guy. Like, so what you thinking of a poker player is like this guy's image, like unlit cigarette, slick back hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Yeah,
exactly. Because my buddy back from the 80s, we were bouncers together in the 80s.
Yeah.
And he had a master's degree in anthropology, gave everything up, and he played poker at night. He's just a degenerate. And I would pick him up at
Sounds like a great guy. I love him.
Oh yeah, he's a great guy. He's never played on a computer. He's still doing it. And he these games are in these Chinese restaurants in Chinatown. But they're in back alleys, and the guys, man, you feel like you're in one of those movies where everyone's got a piece, like everyone. You don't want to stare at anybody too really. You don't look at them in the eye really. You're just kind of really minding your own business. And it's like nervous when you're in there, and then he'll make a bunch of money, and then he'll lose money. And when he loses money, he's a waiter at a French restaurant. And then he gets money together and he plays. And he's been doing this for 30 years. So that's what I knew as poker. And then I meet Ray with the heads up display and the virtual reality and algorithms and all of this crazy stuff going on.
Different
and I'm
game.
like, where's your gun?
Yeah, where's my
Don't you guys carry heat? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, different.
We're just a bunch of nerds. That's all we are.
That's what it really is. Yeah.
And this guy can't even operate a computer, which is the funniest thing. So he's still doing it in person. I don't know how he does it.
Well, I mean, honestly, live poker and online poker are completely two different games. I mean, you're doing you're playing the same game, but you're really not. Okay. I mean, like you said, when you're playing online, you have your heads up display, you have statistics, you have all this information. When you're playing live, it's staring at someone in the face and, making calls.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different game. This question I got here, Chris, staying in the realm of Farha, and this one's from my father, right? He said he heard, because that's how I got into it, because me and him used to watch it. So I would sit and watch him play online. I remember the party poker, sitting back watching him play party poker, and he wanted me to ask you this because he heard the story that I guess during a break in the tournament, this is during the heads up. I guess you went to the bathroom. You and Sammy are in the bathroom, and you offered to split the prize money with him. And I believe you even had the chip advantage. You had a 2-to-1 chip advantage. Is that true? Is this a true story?
True story. Yep. We had a 2-to-1 chip advantage, and I wanted to chop up play. Basically we both walk away with 1.65 million or whatever it is, because second place was 1.25, 1.3, and first was 2.5. I really didn't want to run a flip against a guy for, $500,000 or more. I mean, this was life-changing money to me. So I was like, I'm going to talk to him in the bathroom on break and see if he just wants to make a deal and chop it up. And his response was something to the effect of, first thing was, why don't we just put both the money together, first and second, and play for it all? And I was like, well, I thought that was kind of a joke, but turns out it probably wasn't a joke. I think he would have done that.
Yeah.
But then he goes, well, I think the fact that I'm more skilled and more experienced, I should get more. And honestly, this was really insulting to me because I had a 2-to-1 chip lead, and my son's in here, so I can't exactly say what I said to him, but I let him have a few choice words and basically told him, let's play. It was insulting that he would think that he would deserve more than half. And I thought I was giving him, and I was giving him way too good of a deal.
Yeah.
Turning it down.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I've seen him where he did interviews where he would say that he thought the extra money would add pressure to me, which I get. I mean, the extra money, obviously, if I'm asking for a chop, he's thinking that, I'm going to play tighter. I'm going to play scared. And it was the opposite. He really just pissed me off essentially. And I was already a millionaire at this point. So I was like, yeah, let's go. I mean, your buddy JJ nailed me. I'm pretty much a degenerate. So you don't piss a degenerate off.
Exactly.
Yeah. I had to make it
Exactly.
that much sweeter when you won. I think, of this story, now that being true, and I know Sammy playing heads up with Brandon Adams, PLO, because I guess Sammy during these times was like the guy, like the PLO guy, and he played Brandon Adams heads up, but he gave Brandon the button every hand of a prop bet. So just the arrogance of Sammy is that's incredible.
Anybody listening or watching, don't do that.
So people who don't know about poker, that was just an egregious, like giving someone the button in a heads up game every hand is like, I don't care how much better you are than the person, Chris, right? I mean,
well, I mean, you can play some people that you're so much better than that you can overcome it, but it's so hard. It is such poker is a position game. So basically what you're saying is I'm going to give you the best position over me every single hand. I don't care, if you're playing against a competent player, you're going to get destroyed.
Yeah.
So.
And it's to because Brandon was this online guy, hotshot, and I guess in that era, a lot of people, like yourself, they didn't respect the people who came from online.
We're second-class citizens.
Yeah, exactly. Which the online people have proven to actually probably be better than.
Oh, they're so much better.
So it's not even really a question. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Chris, biggest misconception about you in the public's eyes?
Oh, I guess that I'm broke. Everybody thinks I'm broke. I play a lot of 1-3, 1-2, $100 buy-in games. When I do appearances, I'm always playing like the cheap games. But I do it because that's, usually I'm paid to be there and I want to play with the fans. I don't want to go play in the biggest games. Because like essentially, 99% of the poker players play in small games. And I am an ambassador first and I'm a poker player second. So whenever I go and make appearances, I'm always playing the cheap low games and people see that. And, it's typical in poker. Anytime you see a pro that you've seen on TV and they're playing 2-5 or lower, he's broke. He's got to be broke. Why would he be playing that game? That's just terrible. I will say that over time, people have kind of realized that that's just what I do. So that perception has changed a little bit, but I think that's the biggest misconception. That and I'm, not that educated. I think a lot of people thought I was, just this dumb hick and got lucky. And maybe I am. I don't know. That might not be a misconception, actually. Who knows? I'm not a Mensa person. That's for dang sure. So, that might partly be true. So I don't know if that's a misconception or not, but I think I am a little bit smarter than what most people give me credit for. Maybe a smidge.
Yeah, I would agree from talking with you for sure. Chris, an important life lesson that you've learned from a lifetime of gambling?
Don't let things bother you. Have patience, wait for good opportunities. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have good. Don't let it affect you, don't let it affect your everyday life. So if you have a bad day at work, don't bring it home with you. If you have bad runs, know it'll eventually turn. If you put the work in, you do the process, eventually it's going to work out. And, I work hard on my game. So I put the time in, so I know at the end of the day, I'm going to be profitable. Even, if I lose, I'll lose 80K in a day and you're like, yeah, it sucks, but I'll get it back tomorrow or I'll get it back over time. Just the ability to just forget it and move on and just realize that, this is what I've chosen to do with my profession. And if I work at it, then I'll be successful.
Yeah. Trust in the process. Absolutely. Chris, I guess last question. Yeah, you venture outside of Hold'em at all? Any other games?
Oh yeah, I play all the games. I love mixed games. I mean, I think if you're going to be a poker player, especially in today's climate, you have to know all the games. You don't know when Hold'em's going to run its course and people are going to start playing PLO. I mean, PLO's been knocking on the door of taking over for years. I love the game. I play PLO more than I play Hold'em. But if I had a choice, I'd play mix. One of the The only other event I want to play at the World Series this year outside the main event would be the big 50K mixed event. That's the only one I'm really looking at. I love playing mixed. It's my favorite form of poker because it keeps everything fresh. And to be honest, not many people know how to play all 8 games correctly. So if you're ever looking to get into poker, the problem is you learn all these games, and I might play mixed twice a year because it's just not that prevalent. Like, you can't play online mixed that often. You can't find it in a live setting hardly at all. So I mean, you can find PLO, you can find other variants, but you can't find the mix too often. Special places like Aria, Bellagio, you can in LA, but it's just not typical.
Yeah. I I've always, from my opinion, I've always looked up to the players who could play multiple games, and it doesn't happen too much anymore, but I remember they used to. I mean, it had been years ago, Chris, but on Poker Stars, they would run a lot of the 8 games, the 8-game mix, where you would get the guys playing heads up versus each other, the top guys in the world.
Yep.
And I always respected those guys. I always loved watching the streams of the event you mentioned, the 50K, which I believe is that an 8-game? I think that's an 8-game mix.
It's 8-game, yeah.
It's 8-game, yeah. So because I think taking what you know from one game, applying, because there's similarities, like theoretical concepts that you can apply to all the games, I think.
It's every game's position oriented. So it all comes down to every single game's a game of information. Whoever has the most information is going to have an advantage. And so every one of those games, in some way or another, you have position, or you have more information than your opponents do, and you have to know how to utilize it.
Yeah.
That's why giving away the button is such a bad idea.
Terrible idea. Yeah, terrible idea. And that's I enjoy. That's what I like about your site, America's Card Room. When I get on there, they do have some stud 8. They have some Omaha 8 games. So I'll get in the.
We're working on 8-game. I want it.
Yeah.
I've been pushing. I'm pushing. I've got all my friends play mixed games, and they're all like, "Can we get 8, mixed games on ACR?" And Phil, the owner of ACR, he is really cool and pragmatical. So as much as I'm pushing him on almost everyday basis, hey, let's get 8-game. Let's get 8-game.
Yeah.
He said, even though I want it, the whole community may not want it, and they want to develop something the community wants, which I completely agree with. So we put out a forum and asked 20 different questions as far as what people want. 8-game was one of them. The form's still out there, so we'll see what everybody comes back with. And they're going to take the top 5 and prioritize the top 5 and then move down the list. So eventually we'll get 8-game. I think 8-game is going to be should be in the top 5 or 10. But it may not be the first priority. But I've been pushing ever since I signed.
Yeah. No, like you said, yeah. No, I would love it. I would actually, that would be my preferred form to play, because like you said, it keeps it fresh, and not everyone's good at every game. Yeah.
You got him.
You got it. Yeah. It'd be so much fun, and I think we'll end on that note. So that's going to conclude today's episode of Confessions of a Market Maker. If you guys enjoyed this show, please rate and review it for us. If you'd like to trade alongside JJ, myself, and a supportive community of traders, join us at microefutures.com. Chris, let the people know where they can find you. Anything else you want them to know?
Yep, you can find me at America's Card Room. I do travel a lot. I'm on Twitch with Moneymaker. Anytime I travel or anything I do, will be updated on there. I stream on Twitch 3 or 4 times a week now. That's kind of the thing I do at home. And, again, if you want to come play, I'm playing just about every single day on there. You can come find me at the PLO tables or in the tournaments.
All right. Awesome. JJ, parting words.
Thank you very much for coming down here. I learned a lot. It was very eye-opening. Really, really appreciate the insight. Thanks so much.
Well, thanks for having me on the show. It was good talking to people outside the poker world. I always enjoy these interviews that are not just always poker centric and have a little bit different flair to them. So I definitely enjoyed it. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Chris. And so for Chris Moneymaker, I'm Paulie Walnuts. He's the gorilla of House Street. You stop, so.
Take care, guys.
All right.